I love the symphony orchestra. It's been my favorite way to experience classical music since I attended my first orchestral concert when I was 6. That's 60 years ago. I had my first pair of long pants, of which I was very proud, and my father, who was stationed in Germany as a music director in the British Army, took my twin brother and me to see the Siegerland Orchestra, since renamed the Philharmonie Südwestfalen. They played Verklärte Nacht by Schönberg and Symphonie Fantastique. By all accounts, I prefer the austere Schönberg to the colorful Berlioz. I must have been a very odd child. Anyway, since then, it's been a deep love affair with the symphony orchestra, and it grows each year. This chat is about the symphony orchestra, which are best, the different styles, sounds, historical reference, and lots about the state of the profession in the here and now. There are so many variables impacting the quality of orchestras that subdivisions and a good explanation is needed. This, of course, is my view only. Your mileage may vary, and for the love of God, if your city's orchestra isn't mentioned, no need to sulk. It's just my opinion. The first variable is that time, money, support, conductors, board members, and players change constantly. Even more during the pandemic, where many orchestras produced superhuman efforts to survive. Sadly, some didn't. More variables. The different support systems of countries. In North America, it's all about fundraising and a powerful board. Germany and Austria, where there are 100 or so professional orchestras and opera companies, they are a source of national pride and are funded very well by the local and federal governments. Although even this is changing. Then there's good old Blighty, Great Britain, where orchestras traditionally fight for both private and government funding under the auspices of the Arts Council of Great Britain Affairs. Even with all this doom and gloom, some symphony orchestras are thriving artistically, and even a few, very few, financially. And several US orchestras have a massive endowment and continue to draw the greatest players and pay very high salaries. Look at you, Boston Symphony, with an endowment approaching, wait for it, $500 million. Remarkable. So, let's get to the good stuff. With all those variables in place, and not forgetting that different orchestras seem to specialize in different repertoire, there are 5 orchestras that I feel continue to exhibit the highest standards across the board in just about any repertoire they play. They attract the best players, soloists, and conductors. And it's no coincidence they also make the world's most celebrated recordings and have done so for many years. The genesis for this video was a recently recorded performance by the Dallas Symphony played through a 5.1 Sonos system and viewed on a 65-inch OLED screen. A first-rate, well-funded orchestra in a very good hall playing one of my favorite symphonies, Shostakovich 10. As the magnificent form of the opening movement progressed, it fell flat. Maybe conductor, maybe playing quality. Sure, it was a fine professional display, but my mind kept thinking back to the great performances I've witnessed and why the musical differences. I mean, Dallas attracts fine players, it pays well, but there it was, not in the top class. And this happens on numerous live performances on YouTube all the time. Admirable performances, sure, and appreciated, yes. The great ensembles I'll mention have more than just fine players and great musicianship. The members have that little bit extra. Maybe it's tradition. Think Vienna horns, or Concertgebouw woodwinds, or Chicago brass. Or maybe the players already in the orchestra who pick the new players know what to listen for and how the new arrivals will promote those musical ideals and traditions. As I mentioned, playing the notes in time, in tune musically, is just the beginning. Does your face fit? Does your sound fit? Many of these players stay in the same position for 30 or 40 years or more, and many times it takes up to a decade to replace them. My choice for my top 5 are the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra, the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and the London Symphony Orchestra. The first 4 have maintained these exalted levels with the help of a great hall. The LSO, no such luck. The next 5 are slightly more challenging to choose. Boston, Cleveland, and Philly are an easy choice, with the Bavarian Radio Symphony with the great American ensembles. Right behind them, I'd place Dresden and the Gewandhaus, legendary orchestras with legendary sounds in their glorious halls. After the Big 11, things are not as clear, and conductors, funding halls, etc. make a bigger impact. London's Philharmonia and the London Philharmonic I'd place in the top 15, and I'd add Los Angeles and the Czech Philharmonic to the mix. Talk about different sounding orchestras, although a big complaint these days is the homogenization of orchestral sounds. That may be so, but I still hear clear differences in execution. If you live in most major centers in North America or Europe, you'll get to hear wonderful orchestras. And the Asian and Australian orchestras, such as NHK Japan and the Seoul Philharmonic and the Sydney Symphony, have made huge improvements over the past 2 decades. So we're in good shape. And for the top 5, or 11, great shape. Yet it's still all about funding and paying top dollar for top players. If you live in any of the top 11 or more cities, lucky you. And if not, support, support, support. And long may the symphony orchestra flourish. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I'd love to hear what your favorite orchestras are. And we'll see you in the next video.